Hello. Happy Thursday to everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Wally. I am part of the Southern California sales team here at Meadow. Thank you for joining us to talk about a very timely issue regarding the new delivery ledger requirements that came down as of April 1st from the DCC. Today, we're going to be going over some of the workflow with our head of compliance and tax and compliance, Max Esdale. I'm really excited to show you. But we are Meadow, if you haven't heard of us. We are the only fully all-in-one system in the space. We offer full Metrc compliance. We have the highest system efficacy as well as Metrc integration efficacy, which we're going to be talking about extensively today in this space. We, from one Meadow menu, we power all of your secondary menus. That is what makes us special. From a single compliant inventory reception, we push your inventory count to your online menu, your Weedmaps menu. In the event you're using Leafly, Dutchie, or iHeartJane, we push the count across there. But as you guys know, if you're an existing operator, that's not really the challenge. It's the selling through the inventory. And that's where where Meadow shines. You can have a total confidence that you will never oversell packages in Meadow. We keep the counts accurate across all your secondary sales channels. And that's included, we can still maintain doing all the great loyalty, rewards, promo codes, and one of a really incredible customer CRM. For the retail operators and our delivery teams, that's really why people like running us. We're easy to use, easy to learn. We have full online training modules for the team and an appropriate amount of guardrails. So you guys can do what you're set there to do, which is sell a lot of inventory and sell a lot of cannabis without having to worry about the compliance portion, which is really what we're here to talk about again today. We have customer kiosks. Dynamic delivery. We support your online menu with the Meadow e-commerce menu. All of our support is handled in under 5 minutes or less. It's our team. Nothing is outsourced. We're built in California. We're proudly built in California, and we're all complete cannabis inventory wonks. We're the only team with targeted text marketing built directly in the system that builds directly out from that same customer data that we're capturing in Meadow. We've been around since 2014, have only had 8 minutes of downtime, to give you a sense of how reliable our product is. We're super proud of that. So let's start getting into it as we go forward here. Today, we're going to be talking about the new DCC requirements that came down as of April 1st. California cannabis delivery operators must create a Metrc inventory delivery ledger, completely new term in cannabis inventory operations, a delivery ledger that you can before you can legally leave your premises with unsold or pre-sold inventory. This is what we're here to talk about today. We're ready. We've been ready since the first day. We're already having great success with our operators to maintain compliance and honor this workflow. So with that, I'm going to bring in Max Esdale, our head of tax and compliance, one of the most brilliant people I know when it comes to cannabis inventory operations, and let him take it from here and talk about all this fun stuff, Max. You know?
Oh, well, the fun. Yes, that's right. The last couple of weeks have been very fun. Thank you very much, Wally. And thanks to everyone for joining us. So glad you could all make it. Yeah, it's been really eventful. I mean, you know, we were ready in advance of this, and before April 1st, Meadow had new functionality up for this. But just to go over those points that Wally had mentioned real quick, these are completely new rules, right? And since April 1st, they are requiring what's called a delivery ledger. The DCC now requires this for every vehicle that is leaving the licensed premises with any inventory, either pre-sold for pre-orders or for dynamic delivery, the sort of ice cream truck model. So whether you're running a hub and spoke or a ice cream truck or some combination of those two, you have to create a delivery ledger before the vehicle can leave. And you also have to now report your delivery separate. And this is a very important point that we're going to cover, because we know that a lot of systems aren't doing this right. And there are ways that you can actually do it manually. So we'll show you how to do that as well. If you discover that, you happen to be using a system that isn't reporting it. But you're going to want to make sure that every delivery since April 1st is on a ledger and reported as a delivery instead of as the old method, which was sales. So let's talk about the details here a little bit. What is required on this new ledger? So a ledger is going to require every piece of inventory, whether that's already sold or not sold yet, that's going into that vehicle, has to be listed. So that's the package ID and the quantity, all of that information, right? The product category. You also are going to need vehicle information, right? So you have to say the make and model and license plate of the vehicle. You need information about the delivery driver, about that employee, their employee ID. You need their name. You have to enter their license, their ID number, the county in which the delivery is being made. So the state wants to know that for tax purposes. That's a big part of this. They're really trying to sort of dial in and tighten the monitoring of delivery to make sure that all the local governments are getting their taxes, because we know places like LA, they have a 10% tax, and they don't want to miss out on that because someone delivered in from outside of the county. So that's a very important part. And again, you cannot report the county of a sale on the old reporting method. So only on the new stuff, on these new delivery endpoints that Metrc has introduced that we'll be showing you. You also need both the time that the vehicle departs, as we mentioned. So it's supposed to be reported live. This is exactly when the driver is leaving, not early, not late, but live. And also the time that the delivery is completed. So every delivery gets completed. You're supposed to say, this one was finished at 4 o'clock and this one was finished at 4:15. And you have to record that. And then lastly, the end time of the delivery trip, which is when the driver either returns to the licensed premises to unload any remaining inventory, or when the car is empty because they've completed all of their deliveries. So you have to report all of those things now. And none of those are in the old system, in the old reporting system for Metrc. So, next up, we'll show you what this looks like directly here within Metrc. I'm just going to share my screen real quick. All right, and could I get an affirmative from Aria or Wally? Are you able to see my screen here currently?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Okay, great. So this is this green screen of death that we've all come to know and probably not love, but regardless, how do you record a delivery ledger and a delivery sale now in the new system? Well, you're going to notice that there's under admin this button here, transporters. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go in and we're going to want to create our delivery drivers. So let's go ahead and add a driver. And so let's just put in here name, ID number, and driver's license number. And you'll want to enter that for every one of your delivery drivers. And so that will save this as an entity that we can then use. We'll do the same thing for vehicles. For every vehicle that carries any inventory, you're going to have to put in the make, you'll put in the model, you'll put in the license plate. Okay, so you'll enter that for all of your drivers and all of your vehicles. And once that's done, you can go into sales and go under retailer deliveries. Now, if you're not seeing this, you may not see these yet, because by default, for some reason, Metrc had this permission toggle off. So a lot of people are logging into Metrc and say, well, I can't see this. If you go under admins and employees, you can edit your permissions to make sure that you have sales deliveries. And once you add that, save it, it's going to take 10, 15 minutes, something like that. So go make yourself a cup of coffee, come back and refresh your page, and you should see these two here. So now that we have our drivers and our vehicles created, we go into retailer deliveries. And this is where you create the ledger, right? That was that important thing that we mentioned. Before any inventory, before any orders, the driver can leave, you have to create a ledger, which is done under retailer delivery. So I'll click record retailer deliveries. It's going to ask me for the time and date, the estimated time of departure. So let's say I'm leaving in an hour from now. I can go ahead and select that. It wants me to enter the driver information. Again, this is now required. So I'll go ahead and select that driver we just created. And same thing for vehicle. I'll come in and I'll select the vehicle that we just created. And it's going to go ahead and fill in all of those areas there. We still need to put in a phone number. So I'll put in the old movie 555 fake number. Okay, so great. Now we've started the outline of the ledger, and it's got, the departure time and estimated departure time. It's got my sorry, this is the created time rather. Now I need to add my inventory. So remember, there's two different types of inventory. There's your unsold inventory if you're doing dynamic delivery, the ice cream truck model. And that you're going to come down to here where it says package, this area here, and you're going to find each and every package that you're going to be selling from, and you're going to select it. You're going to add it to this ledger. You're going to tell it the number of units, let's say 5 of the 19, and select the unit of measure. And I want to add another package. I'm going to have to do that again. And remember, this isn't product or SKU level information. This is at the package level. So that actual UID down to the package that I'm putting into that vehicle. And it's very common that you're going to have a product, you know, a very popular product, and one package is about to sell out and you got a new package in. Make sure you're not mixing up the UIDs, right? Since this is what's getting reported to Metrc, is what's in the vehicle and what's being sold. So for every single one of the products that I'm putting in my unsold inventory, I'm going to have to go in here and I'm going to have to find it, and I'm going to have to add it, and I'm going to have to say the number that I'm adding. And you're going to do that for every single one of the packages within Metrc. And that's your unsold inventory. If you have pre-orders, if you have sold inventory, you're going to click up here where it says destination, and I'll click that. And remember, you have to report county now. Okay, so first step, I'm going to say we're making a delivery in San Francisco County. The estimated arrival time, and you fill all this in. Is this for a consumer, so is it adult use, or is it medical? Is it for a patient? We'll just go ahead and select consumer. These two fields are optional. We'll skip those. But now we're going to have to do the same process that we just did for the unsold inventory for any pre-orders. So I'm going to have to come in here and I'm going to have to find every package on every single delivery order that I'm going to be adding to this ledger. And so let's say, let's just find a nice one that has a larger quantity. There we go. This one has 2. And I'll say select this. And I'll say, okay, this person ordered 2 units of this product. Again, I have to select the unit of measure. For some reason, Metrc doesn't know its own unit of measure. And you have to enter the price that the customer is paying for it. So in this case, let's say $20. And I've got to do that for every single unit of product that they've purchased, right? I've got to find the correct UID. I've got to add the quantity, select the unit of measure, and enter the price. Okay. Feels a little bit tiring, a little bit cumbersome, right? It certainly can be. And so, you know, after I've gone through and I've done that, and I've found every single one of those products that I want, and I've selected them and I've added them over to this ledger here, and I can say, okay, the customer bought one of these and they paid $15. So far that whole process, we've basically added 1 pre-order with 2 line items and 2 unsold packages for dynamic delivery. I can remove the 3rd one. Okay, so now we're ready to start this ledger. Record sales delivery creates the ledger. I'll click the button. That was pretty quick. Sometimes it spins the wheel for a while, but that's great. It was pretty fast, right? And I can go ahead and I can open this up and I can view it. I can look at the packages that are on it. I can view the ledger. Please select the retailer. Okay, sorry. Let me select this and say view ledger. And it's going to open a new window and it's going to show you all of that information that's been recorded, right? That we just manually entered into Metrc, right? When the driver is leaving, remember, this is the part that has to be done live. You must record in the regulations the time the driver leaves the licensed premises. And that's what this start button is there for. So that's supposed to be clicked exactly when the driver is leaving. So I'll go ahead and I'll start this. Okay, so now I can see that the driver has departed, right? And I've recorded it, and it records the time at which all of these things are taking place. That's the ledger that is reported as required. Now, it's a little bit confusing because that was the ledger creation. What about that pre-order, that delivery pre-order? Well, Metrc put this under a new area called deliveries. So now I go under sales deliveries and I look at active and I can see that pre-order that is on that ledger. Remember, I can go ahead and open it up here and yep, those are the 2 line items that we added to it. And when the driver completes it, when they hand the product over to the customer and the customer hands over payment, the transaction is completed, then they're supposed to mark that order as completed, right? And that will, again, record the live timestamp at which this order was completed at this time. And they're able to see, you know, which driver, all of the car information, the county, all of the stuff that is required, right? And you have to do that for each order. Okay, so how about for the unsold inventory, for the ice cream truck? Well, for those cases, you have to go over and I would click report sale, and I would click sale on the ledger. And then I would fill in all of that information, right? I would say, okay, this is for a customer, and I would go through and I record the county. Let's say this is, Del Norte. That's a little bit far from San Francisco. But again, you're gonna have to record all of that information once again for every single order. At the end of the day, when the driver is done with all of their orders that they've returned, you have to remember to end the ledger. This is part of the regulatory requirements. Don't ask me why. You have to go in and actually say that it's been ended and here's the time. And I can see that this inventory is being returned because I didn't sell it, right? If I'd clicked that sale button and I filled it all out and I reported a sale, then this would be adjusted accordingly. I'll go ahead and end my delivery. Wow, so that was quite a bit, right? That's what it looks like within Metrc. Again, you got to create your vehicles and your driver, and you got to create the ledger, enter every single unsold piece of inventory, create the orders, enter every single piece of sold inventory, depart the ledger, complete the sales, report any unsold sales, or dynamic sales, then end the ledger. It's a lot. Right. And we hear about the struggles out there. I mean, a lot of systems were not prepared for this, or they didn't build a way for retailers to easily report their delivery sales according to the rules, or they built something that's similarly messy or cumbersome or inaccurate. So if you find yourself in this position, log into Metrc and do it manually, because they're not going to cover you. And if you get fined, that's going to be on you. So definitely, there is a way to do it. That's what we just outlined. We wanted to show you that. But for comparison, I also wanted to show you what this looks like pretty quickly within Meadow. If you're in Meadow, we have here this idea, we've got our delivery vehicles, and I went ahead and created those. We've got our delivery employees. It's the same stuff, you just come in, and it's just like what Metrc requires, and that's what we'll be reporting over to Metrc. And then you've got your ledgers area here, and this is where we're going to create our ledgers. So in Meadow, you can have your vehicle inventory, and you can have for your dynamic, or you could have hub and spoke, right? And so if you have any pre-orders, those will exist down here. And if you have a vehicle that you want to assign, then you could just assign that right here. So you can do it all in one screen. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and I can have a new order here, and let's say this is for a new customer, and we're going to 60 13th Street in SF. Great. And they're ordering a Kiva bar. Wonderful. Okay. So when I'm creating my ledgers, I can come in and I can see, oh, there's that order that was just created, right? I don't have to do any extra work. It already knows what packages are on there. Meadow manages all of that. And that's me done, right? Any pre-orders that I want to send out, I just select right there. If you're doing dynamic, you just go ahead and select the vehicle, because the vehicle already has the inventory in it in Meadow, and we're just going to add up the vehicle inventory and then those pre-orders, and we're going to say, here's your inventory, and we're going to push that over to Metrc and create the ledger for you. You still have to select, the delivery driver. You still have to select the vehicle that's required. We'll go ahead and select our estimated end time, and I'll create a ledger. Okay. Oh, right. I haven't put anything in my vehicle. Wonderful. So let's make a quick transfer. How do you make a transfer to a vehicle? Well, I'm building my kit for the day. I'm ready to send out Max. I'm going to give him give myself some Kiva bars and give myself some OG Kush. And for each one of these, I can just come through and I select whatever I'm adding to the car, and it tells you what the retail value is. Remember, you can have up to $10,000 worth of unsold of inventory within the vehicle. All right. So I've created a transfer very quick. What if I want to copy this? I want to send the same thing out to Wally. Well, I just click there. You'll see that there's a little copy button up in the corner. Copy this transfer, add it to Wally's vehicle, and now Wally's got the same thing in his vehicle. So if you're building big kits in the morning with 20, 30, 50 different products, no problem. You build it one time, copy it for every single vehicle, right? All right, so let's go back over to ledgers again. Remember, I wanted to create a delivery ledger, and I want to say I've got a pre-order, and I'm sending Max out with it, and he's got some unsold products. And so I'll go ahead and select. I'll select the vehicle. I'll select the driver. I'll do this report time here, estimated departure time, and create a ledger. And you'll notice how, as Wally mentioned, there's a lot of guardrails. We want to make sure that if you accidentally select an empty vehicle and tell Metrc, hey, I'm sending out an empty vehicle, Metric's not going to accept that. There's going to be an error, right? Because the whole point, one of the biggest points of the ledger is recording the inventory that's being sent out. So there we have that. When you're ready to depart it, this is that depart button. You don't have to go into Metrc. You can just click it here directly within Meadow. It's updated, successful. It shows you that it's departed. When the driver is done at the end of the day, you just click complete ledger. That's it. You don't have to log into Metrc. You don't have to navigate all of those buttons. And let's say that this order wasn't completed. Maybe you went to the door and the person didn't answer. If I complete this delivery ledger and I say the driver came back, this is that end time that you have to report. I completed the ledger, and it's going to go ahead and return that order over here to my inventory. That's it. That's the whole process. We're done, right? We created a ledger. We put a pre-order on it. We added the dynamic delivery. We sent them out. We brought the driver back, everything's in inventory, and we're completed. So as you can see, we've made it super streamlined within Meadow. It's very easy to do. If you want to check this out, here, let me just log into our Metrc beta here. If you want to make sure that you're reporting, that was what I was mentioning earlier, you can go under your employees, make sure you can click edit employee, and over here, you're going to see permissions if you're not the owner, and you're going to see sales deliveries. You add that, save, refresh. As I mentioned, wait a little while. And here, I'll go into our retailer one. Underneath sales, you should see these two, deliveries and retailer deliveries. And if you click in there and it looks like this, it's just empty, no data is available to display, that is a bad sign. That means none of your deliveries are being reported as required. None of the ledgers are being reported as required. So you're going to have to manually do it or find a system like Meadow that can automatically do it for you. So those are, that's sort of the high level stuff that we wanted to cover. I believe, we have time for questions if people want to get into any of the details there around the differences between Metrc and Meadow and how we've made this super easy for you, or how you can verify that your current system is doing it correctly.
Yeah, and feel free to add any questions in the Q&A section. We're happy to hit that inside the Q&A if anybody has any questions. Yeah, and I think, Max, it's worth reiterating to what Max was showing at that this is a completely new lane of data. It did not exist previously. All these user permissions that the teams had to have to engage the retail delivery, this was not there. Just wasn't possible to report this. And this is why this is so significant, because it's extremely auditable. We do believe it's driven around the tax structures, and it now opens up, just as Metrc, you could open up and look at easily from their auditing portion, look at discrepancies in terms of packages, negative packages, discrepancies. Now they can quickly log into your deliveries and see if you're easily or reporting any of them accurately. And that, I think, is why there's the ask for the departure time, the fulfillment time. It's all to rein it in. But that is, I think Max did a really great job covering all of it. We're going to be sending out the video to all the attendees today. And Max, you got anything else to add?
Yeah, that's a really important point, Wally. I do want to echo that. If you're looking if you're going into Metrc and underneath sales, there's the old receipts endpoint. If that's where your deliveries are being reported, that's not correct. And unfortunately, we've heard some unscrupulous people out there telling delivery services, oh, this is fine, you can just report it under the old receipts. No, you cannot, right? Delivery receipts, the old sales receipts doesn't have county, doesn't have departure time, doesn't have driver, doesn't have vehicle, doesn't have unsold versus sold inventory, doesn't have delivery completed time, doesn't have driver return time. Those are all legal requirements now. And so to suggest that you can just use the old way, it's a lie. There's no other name to call it by. So definitely, there's those instructions on screen. Check it out for yourself.
Yeah, and I think if history tells us anything about from the supply chain pre-Metrc to post-Metrc to now, is they will look at it historically. That's the whole point of the implementation for it. Unfortunately, Metrc, once again, is really good at its job in terms of being a truth teller. if you are executing deliveries, to be really clear, if you're executing deliveries and not reporting, I don't know, knowing what we know now, if it's to say we kind of forgot or we weren't doing that doesn't make you non-liable specifically for the specific county tax data that they're looking if you're delivering outside. I don't see that. I'm advising all new clients. Look, if we're 6 months from now, a year from now, that'll make me so happy that we're not seeing auditing around it. But I don't see it. I couldn't see them asking for this amount of extra new data to not audit it. And that is it represents a new set of SOPs for the operations. We're making it about as easy as it can be. And you can rest assured, if you're running on another system, you switch over to Meadow, we're able to do it. We have migration protocols for every single system, and we have the guardrails to make the migration about as easy as possible. We connect with the accounting team, we connect with the operations team, we get everybody really comfortable and trained up. We get your metric accurate, which that is like, we could offer a whole nother service just bringing people into accuracy before we execute the migration and launch on Meadow. So please reach out to us if you're interested in moving before 420. We're happy to do it. We just have to move with a little bit of intention, as I like to say, if we're going to do this all before 420, but we're doing it as we speak with a ton of teams. All right, this was wonderful. Thank you again to Max. If you need any more help keeping your delivery service compliant, please reach out to us at partners@getmeadow.com. Directly, if you have any questions, wally@getmeadow.com. Continue to log into our Meadow blog. We're going to be staying abreast on this, trying to be be a real educational tool for the entire supply chain. And yeah, this was great. So thank you so much, Max.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Wally. Have a great day.